welcome to Palace Fan TV for Jim and Jay's final say post Manchester United draw. Doesn't happen very often at Palace, does it? First draw of the season, and only the second draw under Alan Pardew since he became manager in January, I think. So there you go, a very rare draw for Palace at Selhurst, but 0-0 against Man United, and arguably Palace could have won, really were the better team. I spoke to a few Man United fans after the game and they all agreed that Palace were better and deserved to win. So really good performance from Palace. Last few weeks we know Leicester was a bit unlucky, but not the best performance. West Ham obviously was sort of one-way traffic for a lot of the games with the red card. Then we went to Man City and got hammered. So it was important for Palace to put in a good performance, and they did that today. They did that and more. They were really good across the pitch. Pardew said before the game they want to play a high pressing game, which is risky against Man United, but it really paid off today. And you had some fantastic performances across the pitch, especially in midfield, where Cabaye and MacArthur were just nipping at the Man United midfielders all the time, giving them no space. They were brilliant. Punchin as well had one of his better games. And what was great about Punch today was that he and Cabaye kept switching. So Punch would come deep and get the ball, and that meant Cabaye could push on into number 10, which we've thought about all season, haven't we? We want to see Cabaye push further forward. And when he did that, he started creating chances, had a nice little ball in for Gale in the first half. So it showed that actually we can play Cabaye in that triangle and push him forward sometimes to really good effect. So it was a fantastic chance. I mean, Palace had the better chances. You had that Cabaye volley in the second half, Dan's header that looked like it was definitely going in and somehow creeps wide. On another day, you know, Palace would have got 3 points and it would have been totally deserved. I think what was more important was that Palace just put in a really good performance, because not that we were saying the wheels were coming off, but last few weeks, you know, we've been obviously had injury problems, but it was slightly sort of off the boil, shall we say. So it was important for Palace really to put in a good performance, and they did that today, and that's almost as important as the point itself. I mean, Man United were fairly poor, to be honest, one shot on target in the whole game, but I think Palace really dominated. And there's a few standout performances for me. Certainly Cabaye in the middle. You know, this guy's just got endless energy. His interceptions are brilliant. He's got a real sort of bite to the tackle, a real fire in his belly, which I think a lot of us didn't think he'd have when he turned up. We think he'd be sort of this luxury player swanning about midfield, but you know, he's got a real bite. And in fact, he was taken off in the second half because I think we were worried he might have got sent off for a second yellow. And that's how much he cares about playing and winning. That's fantastic. It lifts the rest of the players. MacArthur alongside him was fantastic, sweeping up, using the ball very well. He's got such great feet. And what was important again, and Pardew said this in midweek, that Palace need to hold on to the ball when they can, because against the top teams, if you give away possession, you'll be chasing, and you'll have to take your chances when you get them. But today, Palace held on to possession. They made Man United work for it, and in the end, you know, that wasn't a game against from a top 4 team against a lower league team. That could have easily been 2 top 4 teams there. My man of the match show is going to be Wilf, who I thought was fantastic on the wing. He did keep switching, but he just looked so much more confident. You know, it was a really hard game for him against Man United, because a lot of Man United fans think that he flopped there. So for him to prove that he can play against Man United is always difficult, but I thought he was brilliant from the off. He shielded the ball well, he attacked defenders. You know, Darmian, the right back, got taken off because he was already on a yellow, and probably worries about possibly getting a second yellow against Wilf. That's how much they worried him. Wilf, he's still got to work on his end product sometimes. There was one in the second half where he could have easily volleyed it back across goal, and he went for a spectacular volley and missed it. But he's really knuckling down, you know. And Pardew bringing him on in some games, taking him off, really sort of giving the gauntlet to Wilf and saying, show what you can do. It's proven to be working. So for me, I think he was our man of the match, but there were still great performances across the team. Gale up top was fantastic. You know, we worried, didn't we, last few weeks, can Gale play that man up top role? We still don't think he can, but today he was brilliant. He was chasing stuff down. He won so many headers against established defenders, you know, Chris Smalling, or even when Fellaini came in there, he was beating Fellaini for headers. So unfortunately, Balassi wasn't quite gambling on them when Gale was winning those headers, but you know, it's a fantastic response from Gale after getting sent off against West Ham. So, you know, what a great performance from Palace. And we said this, haven't we? They sometimes can pull a result out of the bag, and if they won today, it would have been one of those results, and it would not have been unjustified at all. So very pleased with Palace's response given the last few weeks. And now we're going to a game against Liverpool. You know, we're their bogey team, beating them the last 2 times we played them, full of confidence. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on today's game. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Drop a like and comment below who was your man of the match. who stood out for you. And don't forget to follow Palace Fan TV on Instagram and Snapchat as well. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beak with his thoughts on the game. And to see you again soon. Cheers.
Hey guys, welcome back to Palace Fan TV. This is Jim and Jay's final say, looking back at the game at Selhurst Park against Manchester United. 0-0 draw, goalless draw. A real improvement on what we've seen in the recent weeks, which is great to see actually. First things first, the fans were fantastic yesterday. It's great to be a part of the game, being in the crowd, and it was really loud, and doing a 12-man bit because things haven't gone so well as we know in the last few games. But it was a really improved performance across the whole pitch really for Palace. The intensity was high. The only negative for me is that we couldn't put away any chances, but I mean, you can't fault any of the players yesterday. Perhaps if you're particularly critical, then Martin Kelly should do better against Martial. He was booked for one. Martial went down quite easy, but that's probably the only negatives I can think of in the game, and that's being particularly harsh. So many positives to take from it. I mean, we started the game with Cabaye in the midfield. There was a concern. Pardew said that he was likely not to play. Same as Joel Ward. Both of them slotted in their positions. Well, Joel Ward played left back yesterday and was fantastic. I mean, Cabaye in the middle was brilliant. I think his booking, his rash challenge in the middle, and his booking following that did affect us for a little bit because he couldn't play his normal game. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was taken off later in the game. But he gives us something really different to what we've seen before, which is fantastic. He certainly played his part, as did everybody else. Dwight Gale up front. His leap at the moment is fantastic. I think he must have worked on playing a lone striker role, because I think that's the best showing he's had for us in the lone striker role in the absence of, well, Connor Wickham, because I'm sure if Connor Wickham was fit, he would probably start in that position. But Gale done tremendously well yesterday against big centre back in Chris Smalling, who he's improving himself over over the last few months, and Dwight Gale outjumped him and outjumped Fellaini later in the game, which was quite amazing to see. But he played the lone role really well yesterday, and like I say, the best I've seen him play that role. And he obviously learnt from his sending off a few weeks ago, because it was noticeable that he wasn't making the challenges as a striker. He was closing the players down, but he wasn't diving in. And that's good to see, because you do learn by your mistakes in whatever walk of life, which and it's good to see Gale kind of evolving in that way, showing a bit more experience. He's seen a red card, through 2 bookings, through 2 silly tackles. But I'm going to touch on those, 2 bookings again for him a few weeks ago. The consistency with referees, us Palace fans do harp on about referees, and I don't like doing it. But there is a real lack of consistency, particularly yesterday in some of the bookings. The referee, was quite quick to book some of our players, particularly Martin Kelly, who was probably a little bit unlucky. Should have done better against Martial out wide. Did exactly the same thing again later in the game and didn't get a second booking, which is an odd one, because if strict letter of law, look back at Gale sending off, and he perhaps should have gone as well, because he was booked for the first one. Was the first one a booking? It's difficult because Martial hit the ground so easily. But across the pitch, Cabaye got a booking, which rash challenge that was. But there was other bookings in the game, and the United players seemed to get warnings rather than straight bookings. And I know Cabaye got a warning later on, and we were lucky enough to give him a chance to be substituted, which was fair play. But there were some challenges going in by United players which weren't being punished, which for me, yes, referees, we go on about them, but there has to be some consistency, and it's not really happening at the moment. But take nothing away from the game yesterday, it was an excellent game for a goalless draw. Obviously one of the latter games on the highlights package on TV, but I think we did exceptionally well, and I felt disappointed going away from the game. A game against Manchester United, which we've never had any luck against really in the past, other than that cup victory up at Old Trafford. Come away from the game feeling disappointed that we hadn't got a result out of it. We were in the ascendancy for the whole game. Hennessy made a good save from Rooney during the game, which much maligned our goalkeeper position recently, but he came out and made a save. I think that's the only thing he had to do in the whole game, which says an awful lot about how United played. They lined up quite defensive in a way, playing Schweinsteiger and Schneider in the middle. But from the off, I think it took them 10-15 minutes to get anywhere near our penalty area, which really was a sign of how we were playing. Wilf was fantastic. I just wish that he would try and run onto, knock the ball around the player and run onto him. He's not a physical kind of player. He gets pushed off the ball too easy, but he still had a great game against his former side. Balassi played well over the other side as well. Puncheon, while it's not up to his normal, what we expect from Puncheon, it was better than recent weeks, which was good to see. But all across the pitch, Delaney was back in the centre alongside Scott Dan. They just look a solid partnership, and it's unfortunate on Hangeland because he made a mistake last week. But if you make a mistake, we're in a position where we need to not punish that mistake, but kind of make players feel like their position is under threat because of we have players that can come in and take over that role as well, or if not better. So fantastic performance, a real reaction from the players and the management in terms of how we how we look back at the recent performance, particularly the City result in the week, which was extremely disappointing, particularly for the fans that went up there. But we haven't got that cup competition to worry about now. Hopefully we could see some more of our injured players coming back, particularly Shamak and Wickham. And like I say, I think the only real negative for me from the game yesterday was the fact that we didn't score. I think we had 10 chances in the game. We looked like having an effort on goal every time we went forward, which is really good. Creating chances, and we need to continue doing that to be able to get an effort on goal. So. Yeah, we are a bit lightweight up front, but it's progress. It really is after the last few weeks, and kind of real positive feeling now back at the club after the last few games. Just in terms of the fan base and how social media has reacted to the result yesterday. And like I say, we haven't really got much at United in the league at all for a number of years now. So it was pleasing to get a point out of the game, even if I did feel disappointed that we didn't get the win. So all in all, very happy. Look ahead to Liverpool away next week, which would be a tough game as ever. But we seem to do okay away from home, and I think the way we played yesterday kind of shows that our attacking abilities, out wide particularly, and through the middle with Kabay and Puncheon, will threaten any team away from home. So that's going to be an interesting game. So look forward to that, and we're back next week to review that game. So very happy Palace fan after yesterday's result. Hopefully the form of start of the season is kind of coming back into us. We've had a tough run of fixtures, to be fair. Some of the top teams, I think we've played almost all of the top six, finishing the top six last season now. Coming up to Liverpool after Liverpool next weekend. So it's been an interesting start to the season, but certainly one I'm very happy, very pleased with. Got this many points. I think we're sitting 8th before Sunday's games take place. So. Very happy. So we're back to review next week's game. By all means, as usual, subscribe, share the videos, get more people interested, and also leave your comments under the videos, your questions for us, or your thoughts on the game. But in the meantime, we'll look over those, and we'll catch up again next week. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye.